Now, having seen it, this movie is definitely takes a bite out of what you can get. What's up, everyone? Is Epictastic Joshua. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here or a returning player, my name is Joshua, aka Joshua Drake. I talk movies, TV, and on a few occasions music and anime. And we're gonna talk about a little vampires here. Abigail. Abigail is directed by of course, Radio Silence, Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, Matt Oplin. This stars Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Kathryn Newton, Alicia Ware, Will Catlin, Kevin Durand, and Angus Cloud, and Giancarlo Esposito. This is kind of influenced by Dracula's daughter, except is not really that. But in this movie, we follow a group of kidnappers who capture the daughter of a powerful underworld figure and demand $50 million for her release, unaware that the young girl is actually a vampire. I was actually really curious to see what Abigail was gonna be like from the idea and from the trailers. Radio Silence, they have been doing movies for quite a while since. They did the first VHS movie, which was a segment there, which I actually liked, the first VHS. They did Ready or Not, which I actually grew on. Scream 5 and Scream 6, I actually really enjoyed. And Devil's Due is so far the only movie I'm not the biggest fan of. It has some merit there, I just thought the movie was just kind of boring. But I was actually really curious to see what this was gonna be like, because you have the idea of Dracula's daughter, but what if she was a ballerina vampire? And then I heard the cast involved. You have Melissa Barrera and Kathryn Newton, Giancarlo Esposito, and Angus Cloud in one of his final movies, unfortunately. And now, having seen it, this movie is definitely takes a bite out of what you can get. Now, of course, it's not the greatest vampire movie out there, but I will say, as far as being a part of the vampire resurgence, this is definitely a good start. As far as the pros when it comes to this movie, I will actually say I like the directing in this movie. I think these two directors, they definitely have an eye for detail. I definitely love their eye for detail. They direct very well. I think these guys are very competent in terms of filmmaking, and they actually really do good in terms of what they bring out in terms of the filming. They're able to get some great camera shots, great moments of cinematography here by Aaron Morton, and the color palettes there, and it just puts you in this one location for a good majority of the movie. And you have these group of thieves that kidnapped this little girl, and they don't know she's a vampire, which there's been a heavy debate on social media about, did the trailers give away this or such. I'll say my 2 cents, hell no, the trailers didn't give that away. It was part of the plot. They did show a little too much in the trailer, but not too much to where it completely derails the movie, because I still was able to be shocked at the entertaining factor here. But I just think this idea, and I think the way they handled the story was actually really interesting, and I actually quite very much had a lot of fun with it. I also appreciate the fact that this movie is a nice blend of horror comedy. Horror comedy is a subgenre that it is hard to get right. There are great examples of doing it right, like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, which I haven't seen, American Werewolf in London, the Evil Dead series, the Gremlins movies, Cabin in the Woods, Shaun of the Dead. And it's hard to get that right if you don't do it in a way that's executed. Even with Peter Jackson with Meet the Feebles and Brain Dead and Bad Taste. So it's hard to get the horror comedy right if it's not scary enough or if it's not funny enough. And this movie definitely has the right balance here. I definitely appreciate that. $28 million budget. This shows that you don't need a lot of $200 million or such to make a vampire movie. They use a simple location, good practical gore, which the blood and such, I appreciate the fact that it's practical. I always champion that over CGI blood, unless of course there are some things you can't do practical. For the gore, the violence, the vampire carnage candy, you getting what you paid for with this comes to this movie. So they actually really take homage in that, and they actually really commit to that. This is R-rated to the max, and I enjoyed every minute of it. An hour and 49 minutes, it goes by quick, very well edited by Michael Shaver. I really do enjoy the way this movie is edited. It's paced together very well. This editor has worked with Ryan Coogler before with Fruitvale Station, Creed, All Summer's End, the Dirty Dancing remake, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the Black Panther movies. So it's edited really well for an hour and 49 minutes. There are a few slow spots here that it does take a while to get going, but I just like the fact that after a few first slow moments, you get put straight into this. And I have to talk about the performances here, because these characters, you don't like them a lot that much. There's some you understand why they're doing what they're doing, but it's the performances that really sold me on it. You have Melissa Barrera, which I'm just gonna say right now, I am happy to see that she's still thriving. I like this actress. I like her in The Heights and the Scream 5 and 6, and she is becoming one of the Scream Queens. So she is established as a Scream Queen now, and I think she's fantastic in the movie, and I really thought she was my favorite character in the movie. Also really liked her in Carmen, and I look forward to seeing what else she does with the collaboration, and also a movie called Your Monster, which I've heard some pretty interesting things about. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do when it comes to that with her in that movie. This movie, she's great. I like her character. You do feel some sympathy for her. I gotta talk about another Scream Queen, Kathryn Newton. She's fantastic. I really enjoyed her. She is also a Scream Queen and also a very good actress. I know some people say otherwise, but I've been impressed with her with stuff like Blockers and 3 Billboards, Bad Teacher, Freaky, Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. I thought she was fine as Cassie, but here she's just adorable. I loved her in Lisa Frankenstein as well, so she's amazing. I love her in this movie. She does become a little annoying, but Kathryn Newton, she's great in her, and also she is adorable here. So she's fun to watch here. Angus Cloud, for one of his last movies, it still shocks me that he died so young at only 25, because I'm also 25. I will say for one of his last performances, I will say he did a good job here as Dean. He's funny here, and I think he really did commit to the role very well. I wanted more of him, but it's not their fault. He died unexpectedly, tragically. Kevin Durant, who is awesome. I like him as an actor. Butterfly Effect, Smoking Aces, Robin Hood, Legion, X-Men Origins Wolverine. I will say he was good. Will Catlett was good. And I also like Giancarlo Esposito. But let's talk about Abigail herself. Alicia Weir. She's pretty competent in the role, and I think she does a very good job as Abigail. She has that childlike innocence to her, but when she becomes a vampire and the switch of vampire turns on, it turns on, and she goes for the full carnage candy. Music by Brian Tyler is also really competent. Well, and again, it just gives us an influence with a vampire take on Dracula's daughter with a ballerina dancer. It does have influences from Don't Breathe and Saw and Ocean's 11, which I can see some people taking issue with that, but I think is the way the filmmakers choose to execute it is really well done here. And so for that, I give it a lot of credit in the world. Only gripes I have when it comes to this movie is not that many. Dan Stevens once again just hams it up here, but it's not as bad as it was in Godzilla vs. Kong. I just didn't really think his character was that great. The acting from him was fine, it was serviceable, but I just felt like the character was the bit of a problem. I didn't really like him. Some of the characters are not always the most lovable, and it does have that mix of those other movies I just mentioned, but it's the way they execute it. So I'm willing to forgive that part of things. People calling this a ripoff such. You gotta get your influences somewhere. So the ending, it was entertaining. I just wasn't too crazy about it. And I felt like it was kind of just saddening, heartbreaking. But again, I get what they're going for. But overall, at the end of the day, Abigail is a very welcoming part of the vampires' resurgence. It's good to see vampires get their resurgence. I'm waiting for the werewolf genre to get their resurgence after the whole Twilight Saga era is over. But vampires are here to fucking stay, and I'm glad about it. I could not be any happier. Like I said, it's not perfect, but you know what? Scary Movie started off a little bit rough. There's still some I need to see, but this was a good vampire movie, and I'm very happy to see the vampires come back. So if you have yet to see Abigail, go see it at your theaters while you still can. And when it comes on VOD, watch it. When it comes to Blu-ray, watch it. Vampires is back, and I'm hoping more vampire movies like the future Blade movie and whatever vampire movies we get can show that vampires are really here to stay. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.